to most of the galaxy, Earth was a Deathworlder planet, so hostile and unpredictable that only the hardest of species could survive there. Extreme weather, dangerous predators, and volatile climates were just a few of the things that earned it this reputation. Humans, the native inhabitants of Earth, were known as Deathworlders, viewed as a peculiar and reckless species that thrived in a place most aliens wouldn't dare set foot. For Galactic Union scientists, studying humans was an ongoing challenge. Their biology, while fascinating, was baffling. The Union knew that humans were resilient and could survive wounds that would kill most species, thrive in toxic environments, and heal from injuries that other races would consider fatal. But even with all that knowledge, the incident with Lieutenant James Hafford was something no one could have seen coming. The incident? Lieutenant Hafford, a human officer serving aboard the Intergalactic Science vessel Elena, had been stationed on the planet Polar 5 for a routine exploration mission. Polar 5 was a temperate world with a weak sun and mild weather, nothing compared to the brutal forces Earth could dish out. The Polar sun was classified as a Class B star, relatively harmless with low UV radiation, perfect for alien species with delicate skin. So, when Hafford decided to spend a few hours outside without his protective suit, no one thought anything of it. The Polar climate was considered safe for all Galactic Union personnel, and Hafford's human biology was robust enough to handle conditions far more dangerous than Polar could offer, or so everyone thought. Hours later, Hafford strolled back into the base, looking unusually red in the face and arms. He was grinning, laughing with the other crew members as they prepped for dinner, but his alien colleagues noticed something odd. His skin was hot to the touch, flushed in a way that seemed alarming to their sensors. Lieutenant, one of the medical officers, a cautious T-Nori named Drill, said with concern, "Your epidermis is blistering." Hafford glanced down at his arms and shrugged. "Oh, it's just a sunburn. Happens all the time back on Earth." The alien stared at him, horrified. "You've been exposed to solar radiation." Hafford waved it off. "Yeah, no big deal. I'll be fine in a few days." That was when the panic began. The Galactic Panic. By the time the base's medical team had processed what Hafford had said, it was too late. Alarms blared as the station went into lockdown, believing a massive radiation leak had occurred. Hafford, completely confused, was quarantined, his skin slathered with cooling gels as panicked medical staff scanned him from head to toe. They checked for radiation poisoning, genetic mutations, and organ failure, anything that could explain the rapid reddening of his skin. The news spread quickly. Within hours, the Galactic Union Central Command received the report: human officers potentially exposed to lethal levels of solar radiation on Polar 5. The word radiation sparked a chain reaction across the galaxy. Planets near Polar began raising their defense shields, fearful of a radiation outbreak. Ships were rerouted to avoid the entire sector, and a massive Union investigation was launched to find the source of the contamination. Back on the ship, Hafford Saturday in the quarantine chamber, bewildered. Through the glass, Drill, his T-Nori friend, stared at him with wide eyes, shaking his head in disbelief. "James," Drill said through the intercom, "are you saying this happens to your species regularly?" Hafford sighed. "It's just a sunburn. You stay in the sun too long without protection. Your skin burns. We heal from it." Drill blinked, his blue skin pulling slightly. "But your dermal layer is damaged. You should be in agony." Stings a bit," Hafford replied with a shrug. "Nothing some aloe vera can't fix." Drill exchanged glances with his colleagues. "What is an aloe vera?" Hafford groaned. "It's a plant that helps with sunburn." "Seriously, guys, this is nothing. Earth's sun is way stronger than Polar's. I'm not dying. It's just a minor burn." But the Union wasn't listening. The response: as the Galactic Union scrambled to deal with the radiation crisis, they called in some of their top scientists and medics. They reviewed the data, examined Hafford's biological readouts, and ran extensive simulations. What they discovered was both astonishing and terrifying. Human skin had the unique ability to absorb and endure levels of solar radiation that would obliterate most species. Their cells could repair themselves after exposure to dangerous UV rays, And in most cases, humans not only survived but thrived in environments that would be catastrophic for any other species. To the Union, this was unthinkable. Halford's body had experienced what they considered a severe radiation burn, but his internal systems were already working to repair the damage. The Union Council was convened in an emergency session to discuss the implications of this discovery. If a human could shrug off what they believed to be lethal radiation, what other dangers could they withstand? Were they immune to more forms of galactic hazards? Could they weaponize this resilience? The resolution. After days of study and diplomatic back and forth, the panic finally subsided. The Galactic Union declared that the situation was not, in fact, a radiation outbreak, but rather a misunderstanding of human physiology. News reports retracted their alarming headlines, and life across the galaxy slowly returned to normal. Halford, for his part, became something of a legend aboard the Elena. His deadly Sunburn story spread across the stars, becoming a running joke among the crew. Every time someone mentioned radiation, Halford would smirk and rub his arm, reminding everyone just how tough humans could be. But there was more than humor in the aftermath. The Union had learned a valuable lesson about underestimating humans. They were no longer seen as just hardy inhabitants of a dangerous world. They were recognized as something far more: survivors, warriors, and perhaps, most importantly, protectors of a galaxy that still had much to learn about the resilience of Deathworlders. As for Halford, he recovered from his sunburn in a few days, just as he'd said, and he never missed an opportunity to remind his alien friends that, when it came to humans, a little radiation was just another day in paradise. The Galactic Union had barely recovered from the shock of the Sunburn incident when the questions started pouring in. Across the galaxy, species who had never thought twice about humans now wanted to know everything about them. Were they truly as indestructible as the rumors claimed? How did they manage to survive such hostile conditions on their home planet? And most importantly, what other hidden abilities did they possess that could prove advantageous or dangerous? Lieutenant James Halford became the center of attention, not just aboard the Elena but across the entire Galactic Union. Every species, from the cautious T-Nari to the methodical Krellians, wanted a piece of him. Requests for interviews flooded in, scientific inquiries piled up, and military leaders began theorizing how humanity's unique biology might be leveraged in times of war. Despite the attention, Halford remained unfazed. To him, the situation was laughable. A simple sunburn something Earth kids got on their first beach trip had caused the galaxy's most advanced civilizations to lose their collective minds. But to the Union, it was more than a misunderstanding. It was a wake-up call. Galactic Union Headquarters, Council Meeting. The Grand Council of the Galactic Union had never been so full. Delegates from every member species gathered in the massive dome-shaped hall, their expressions a mix of curiosity, concern, and intrigue. A holographic projection of Earth, glowing with a faint blue light, hovered in the center of the room. At the head of the table, High Commander Threx, a towering figure from the reptilian Brunesian race, addressed the assembly. "We have underestimated humanity's resilience," he began, his voice a low growl. "If one of the species can withstand what we consider dangerous radiation with no long-term damage, then we must consider the broader implications of their biology. What else have we overlooked?" The room buzzed with murmurs of agreement. A T-Nari delegate, whose species had been most vocal in the initial panic, raised one of her many limbs. "High Commander, while it is true that the Sunburn incident has revealed unexpected toughness in humans, we cannot assume they are impervious to all forms of radiation. We must conduct further studies, perhaps in controlled environments. We need to know their limits." Threx nodded slowly. "Agreed, but we must also consider how we use this knowledge. Humans are already serving within our fleets and scientific communities. Their presence in hazardous environments could be an asset." Across the room, an Elleran diplomat, known for their sharp intellect and diplomatic prowess, stood and addressed the council. "While it's true that humans possess remarkable abilities, we must tread carefully. They are not just assets, they are individuals. If we start treating them as tools for their resilience, we risk alienating an entire species. I propose a balanced approach, collaboration with humanity, not exploitation." The Council murmured in agreement, and it was decided that the Galactic Union would engage in a deeper study of human biology, but only with the cooperation of Earth's governments and scientific communities. The panic, though subsiding, had opened the door to a new era of interspecies understanding. Back on the Eleanor, Hafford's newfound fame had spread beyond the Union's highest offices. On board the Eleanor, he could barely walk through the halls without being stopped by curious aliens. Some wanted to see his arms, still slightly peeling from the sunburn, while others just wanted to ask questions about Earth. "What is it like to live in such a dangerous place?" asked Resik, an insectoid crew member from the peaceful planet Zix, whose species was known for their delicate biology. Hafford grinned. "Honestly, you get used to it. Earth's got its dangers, sure, but most of it's beautiful oceans, forests, mountains, and we've learned to deal with the rough stuff. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it, humans adapt." Resik's compound eyes widened in amazement. "Ed, you enjoy living there?" "Absolutely," Hafford replied, his grin widening. "Earth may be rough around the edges, but it's home. You learn to love the challenge, makes life exciting." Drill, Hafford's T-Nori friend, was less enthusiastic. "Exciting? Your species willingly endures natural disasters. Do you have no sense of self-preservation?" Hafford laughed. "Of course we do, but humans have this thing called resilience. It's what's kept us going for so long." The more Hafford explained, the more the crew began to realize that Earth's reputation as a death world was not entirely exaggerated. Yet, it was also clear that humans thrived in their environment, not because of their strength alone, but because of their adaptability. They could face overwhelming odds and somehow come out stronger on the other side. Union research facilities, human studies begin. Weeks passed, and the Galactic Union began its joint research program with human scientists. Volunteer test subjects from Earth were brought to Union research stations, where their physiology was studied in controlled environments. Human soldiers, engineers, and medics shared their experiences with their alien counterparts, teaching them about Earth's climate, hazards, and how humanity had learned to survive and adapt. One such study took place in a Union medical facility orbiting the planet's area. A group of human volunteers, including Hafford, were exposed to simulated environments mimicking high-radiation planets, toxic atmospheres, and extreme gravitational forces. The results astonished the Union scientists. While most species would have succumbed to the radiation, the humans showed remarkable resistance. Their bodies, though not immune, had ways of repairing the damage faster than most other species. Their skin, bones, and organs displayed an ability to recover from stress and injuries that baffled even the most advanced medical teams. During one experiment, a human soldier named Tessa Reed endured an atmosphere with deadly levels of sulfur dioxide, a gas that would melt the lungs of most species. She coughed and wheezed, but survived, her lungs healing within hours after exposure. When asked how she felt, she simply shrugged and said, "I've had worse after a bad camping trip." The Union's new perspective. The whispers of dissent grew louder within the Galactic Union's political circles. Certain faction those who had once dominated the Union's military and scientific endeavors felt threatened by humanity's rising influence. The humans' resilience and adaptability had not gone unnoticed, and many began to question how long it would be before Earth asserted itself as a major power. In secret, a coalition of alien races, known as the Centauri Bloc, began to formulate a plan. They believed the only way to maintain their control over the Union was to diminish humanity's standing before it became too powerful. But a direct attack on Earth would be too brazen, too obvious. Instead, they devised a subtler, more insidious test to challenge that they believed would prove, once and for all, that even Deathworlders had limits. The trap is set. The plan was simple, yet devastatingly clever. The Centauri Bloc sent a fabricated distress signal from a distant, uninhabited planet on the edge of Union SpaceX in thus III. The signal claimed that a scientific expedition had gone terribly wrong, and a small team of alien researchers was trapped on the planet, exposed to lethal levels of radiation and toxic gases. The Centauri Bloc knew that Earth's volunteers were now the Union's go-to experts for high-risk missions. and they were counting on the humans to take the bait. Zenithus III had once been an inhospitable death world, far more dangerous than anything humans had encountered so far. The radiation levels were off the charts, and the atmosphere was saturated with corrosive chemicals that could melt metal. It was a place no intelligent species would willingly go. But that was precisely the point. The bloc wanted to see how far the humans would push themselves OC if they could survive a planet that had been specifically chosen to break them. The hope was that humanity would fail, and in their failure, the galaxy would remember that even Deathworlders had their limits. The human response, as expected, when the distress signal reached Union headquarters, the call for help was answered by a team of human volunteers. Lieutenant James Hafford, still recovering from his newfound fame as the Sunburn survivor, was assigned to lead the mission. Alongside him were Tessa Reid, the soldier who had withstood toxic gases, and a crew of other skilled human specialists. The briefing was simple: rescue the stranded researchers, stabilize their condition, and evacuate the planet before the environment could claim more lives. They were warned of the extreme conditions on Zenithus III, but none of them hesitated. To Hafford and his team, this was just another day at the office. They had faced worse on Earth, and they were confident that their training and experience would carry them through. After all, they were Deathworlders. Zenithus III, the descent. The human rescue ship, Iron Resolve, descended through the atmosphere of Zenithus III with turbulence shaking the hull. Outside, the toxic winds howled, and the clouds of sulfur and radioactive particles swirled like a storm of death. The ship's shields strained under the intense radiation, and even the state-of-the-art materials of the vessel began to corrode slightly. As the crew prepared to land, Hafford turned to his team. Stay sharp. This place is a death world for a reason, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. Remember, stick to protocol, and we'll get through this. The ship landed with a jarring thud, the door hissing open to reveal a landscape that looked like the surface of hell itself. The ground was cracked and blackened. Rivers of molten rock ran through the valleys, and the sky burned a sickly orange with toxic fumes. Their suits' radiation meters spiked immediately. Tessa Reid glanced at her readouts. Radiation levels are 10 times higher than expected. Lovely. Just another day for us, Hafford said, adjusting his helmet. Let's move. The team pressed forward, their steps cautious but steady. Every breath was filtered through their suits, and every inch of their path was scanned for hidden dangers. Yet, despite the hostile environment, the humans moved with an eerie calm. They had faced worse, and they knew it. But something was wrong. As they reached the supposed location of the stranded researchers, they found no signs of life, no wrecked ship, no distress beacons, just an empty, barren wasteland. This doesn't add up, Hafford muttered. Where's the team? Where's anything? Suddenly, a crackling sound came over the comms, a distorted voice. Welcome, Deathworlders. Let's see how long you last. The real test begins. The Centauri bloc had set their trap well. The humans were stranded on Zenithus III. With no easy way out, the radiation levels continued to rise, and soon, their ship systems began to fail. As the planet's corrosive atmosphere ate away at the hull, they were cut off from the rest of the Union, isolated in the deadliest environment imaginable.